This is T-Sweat here from Great Electric Quest. You're listening to Podcast. You better get your kicks in before you're in the grave, my friends.
This is the Podcast, the podcast for all things stoner, doom, and sludge. And today, adding a little bit of desert rock, we have a band based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Their new album is going to drop very, very soon, in just a few days. The Path to the Deathless is the name of it. They have a gorgeous red and yellow splatter-colored vinyl LP put out through Desert Records. Let's check out the interview right now. The guys in Red Mesa have a new album coming out June 12th, 2020. If you have not seen it yet, go over to Bandcamp and check it out. I believe pre-orders are going on right now. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go through all of the tracks and a couple of other subjects. And on the phone, I have all the guys right now in the band Red Mesa. What's up, brothers?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Now, first off, we got
each other.
That's okay, man. This is what it is. This is where we are right now. If not, I swear to you, Roman, if not, we probably would have been over at Roger's house on a weekend or something.
Oh, man. Bringing back some old memories. That's good.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
You're a real trooper for doing that one, Chris. That was a late night, bud.
But that was fun as all hell, man. I mean, look, you know what? When you go back and you look at that and you think about that, it's like, I'm thankful that we had that time, because now, with where I am, I don't know when that's going to happen. So I'm taking it, and I'm loving each and every moment we have, and just reminiscing about some of the good times, and hopefully, that'll happen again. So I did this for a while, and I'm just going to go into it. There was a band, and I think I told you about it off mic, that I screwed up their name royally. I thought it was Dizzy Goat. Apparently, there was a 1Z missing, so it was Dizygote. And it makes so much more sense as a band.
Yeah, okay.
So they had two questions, and it's a two-piece. It's a father and son, Ethan and Ned, I believe. Yeah, I think so. And the son had a question about, and I'm going to kind of rephrase it because he wanted to know if any of you have played South by Southwest, but also I'm just going to add on any other festivals that you have played on. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Brad.
We did an official South by Southwest in 2019.
Yeah. Stoner Jam.
We did Stoner Jam with, of course, Tom from Duel.
Right.
Puts that on, and we
the Dirty Dog.
and then we played the Dirty Dog, which is a bar on kind of on the Southwest Strip. And we had a good time going down there, and we got to meet a lot of bands that we'd only just been kind of saying hi to over the interwebs.
Right.
So that was super fun, man. And Roman, what else have we done?
We've done Monolith on the Mesa last year.
That's like a given.
Oh yeah, of course. I'd be very mad at the guy that booked that show if we didn't get on that. Actually, this year we were on quite a few fests. We were on Monolith again, and then we were on Stoner Jam, and that everything got postponed.
Yeah.
And then we played Electric Funeral Fest. That was fun. That was last year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Up in Denver. I love that fest. I love those guys.
All right, Ethan, so you know the festivals that they play. But Alex, have you... Now, we got to hear the history, because this is a brand new band member. We've met Brad, we've met Roman, but we haven't gotten to know Alex yet. Alex, how are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Now, can you give us a little background, like where'd you come from musically, and how was it that you got into Red Mesa?
Okay, I'll work backwards. I've known Roman for a long time. We have worked at the same musical venues for quite a while in downtown Albuquerque.
Right.
And we were in a band called Jagged Mouth a few years back. He was the drummer, I was the bassist and vocalist. And that band disbanded And that was when Roman went to Red Mesa, not long after at all. Him and I, while on tour with Jagged Mouth, spent the night on a beach in Lincoln City, Oregon.
Together.
And, had an eventful evening out there. We saw a UFO.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
And, I did a very epic version of Arms Wide Open by Creed out on the coast. And that's on video somewhere.
Oh, I gotta find that.
Anyway, Roman and I spent the night in a tent on the beach, and he had never done that. And 2 in the morning comes around, and this dude wakes me up, and he's like, Alex. He's like freaking out that we were going to get, swallowed up by the sea. The wave coming in, and I knew that we were far enough away to where we weren't, but it was a new experience for my good buddy Roman there. And we dreamt up. I kind of came up with some lyrics, and I told him the idea, and we dreamt up this song that became the last song on this new Red Mesa album called "Swallowed by the Sea."
Oh,
that just the idea of that song was my entry point into the band, because Roman told Brad about it, and he thought that it would fit well into the theme that he had thought up for the album,
right?
As a closing track. And so I wrote music to it, 85% of the music, I guess, and then showed it to those guys while I was actually recovering from a surgery last summer. And everybody was agreeable that we should go forward with that. And then I kept, I was always going to Red Mesa shows. I wanted to support them.
Right.
Brad comes into the store where I work, and I was, on friendly terms with him, and went to an acoustic show of theirs at a brewery. And that night they asked, through some other circumstances, their other bass player wanted to step down, and they asked me if I would come on board. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So, but if that song wouldn't have existed, they may have not known, as much about me as they did. So working backwards, Roman and I had Jagged Mouth, which is a super blackened doom sludge, just real scary stuff.
Right.
And just make a brief account of my other musical history. I've been playing bass since I was in 8th or 9th grade. Learned how to play bass just by listening to Iron Maiden, Anthrax, Subhumans, DRI, Metallica.
Sure.
So I had, long story short, I've played in some thrash bands. I've done vocals in hardcore bands, technical death metal bands, singer-songwriter, acoustic kind of stuff, and I've played bass in a couple of punk bands and played guitar in a hardcore band, and so that's about it.
Is this kind of like a different avenue for you right now with this kind of desert rock style?
No, because I've always loved it. I just haven't been involved in it to the extent that I am in now. But I always I hooked on to Caius pretty quickly after they came out. The Obsessed, obviously, I've known about for a long time. Just that whole stoner vibe. Trouble was one of my favorite bands growing up. Yeah. So I always loved doom. Mm-hmm. I gravitated towards it, quite honestly, and darker doom stuff. But yeah, European doom. My Dying Bride, Anathema, bands like that.
Sure.
Lost. And then on the American side, the sludge and the stoner stuff always was, really appealing to me. Where are you, by the way? Where are you?
I'm in Arizona.
You're in Arizona. Okay, cool.
And came from Florida and New York. So in New York, I had the hardcore and even straight edge hardcore I used to listen to a lot in New York. And also, I'm of the age where I listen to a lot of glam. And by the time, I know, woohoo! But, by the end, it was death metal. And by the time I got down to Florida, it was all death metal and black metal and power. And that's what would come through, honestly. So that's all the stuff I saw. And then I came out to Arizona. But I always liked this style of music, but I just didn't know what it was. I never actually, honestly, heard it called doom until I moved out to Arizona. I didn't even hear desert rock until I moved moved out to Arizona, but I'm like, holy shit, this is what I've been, like I said, whether it's Sword, ASG, Kaya's, Fu Manchu, I always liked it, but I just didn't have a name for it. And even my Dying Bride, whatever. I just didn't know. But, it's just a different thing. And you know what? I want to get into the path to the Deathless, but I want to ask one more question. And this was by one of the other people in Dizygote, Ned. And it was mayo on a cheeseburger, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayo and ketchup.
3 yeses. All right. Fair enough. All right. We discussed it, but we'll just leave it there, and we're going to.
It has to be Hellman's, though. It has to be Hellman.
Really?
Hellman's? Well, fast foods is good.
All right, because my wife used to give me some crap about it, but then she wound up loving it. I make my own mayo, and I kind of make it almost like more closer to the aioli side. So this is just a tip. I'm just saying. I don't know whether any of you eat bacon, but if you do, and you got those drippings, you save it. You save the fat, and then you mix that fat to make a bacon aioli. It is probably one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life.
Dude,
Chris,
nice.
I feel that you should start a recipe blog or a part of a podcast where you're like Doom Tomb Bacon Aioli. Because when you come out to New Mexico,
right.
I really like green chili aioli, and of course I'm the outsider. I grew up on the East Coast of Maine, and fucking for spice, that had too much black pepper on it.
Exactly.
And that was the extent. Actually, I remember my grandfather saying something really rude to my grandmother one day. She's like, how was that? And he's like, oh, it's got too much black pepper. Too much black pepper on it. And it's like, wow, okay. And that was too spicy for him. But
right.
I like spice, and green chili on a cheeseburger and green chili aioli is fucking awesome.
In a tortilla too, put in tortilla.
And you know what? I appreciate that, Brad, because it reminds me of there's a guy. Oh man, what is he called? I'm subscribed to his page on YouTube. It's something like Nat something, and he's like Scandinavian, or I maybe I'm speaking out of school. He's somewhere else than where I am. And he has this cooking channel or this cooking show, and it's vulgar, it's filthy, it's disgusting, and I can't stop watching it. I just love it. It's so rude, but it's so good. All right, so you know what? Because I have another interview, and I want to make sure that right after you, I want to make sure we get this all in as fast as we can. We have to talk about the release, The Path to the Deathless, June 12th, 2020. You've had some special guests, and I know one of them, obviously, the one that sticks out first is Wino. And Roman, was it because of the patch? Did that seal the deal?
The patch? Oh, the patch on the vest? Or
yeah, the patch on the vest. Hey, dude, I can't forget. I don't know many people that have a patch that has something that you can hide in it.
Oh, well, that patch was actually made by Wino. He actually gave that one. He gave that one to me years back. Actually, you can't even see his face on there no more, but the pocket still lives. The pocket is still in use. Oh,
fantastic. we don't even have to discuss what it is. We'll just say it gets used. Fair enough. Yeah. So, how did you come about getting like Wino and Dave Sherman and Kristen, Alex, Steve, all these people? How did it come about where you got all these people on the album?
Well, when we talked about it at first, we talked about the concept album first, and we were just like talking about what we wanted to write about, and I was just like, well, all of us were like, well, we need some really cool special guests and some really cool sounds in it, and then our minds just started flowing. But the funny thing about the Wino thing was like, it was just an idea, of course. It was just like, well, imagine if we had like Wino on a song,
right?
And just start thinking about it more, and like, well, let's just ask him, see what he says, you know. And then I was heading up to the East Coast to go visit some friends out there. Wino was in the area, and we asked him if he wanted to meet up
right
at a bar like in Frederick, Maryland. And he was like, yeah, I'm actually at a studio up the road. I was like, oh, yeah, come stop by. And I was like, well, it happens to be open mic tonight. And he was like, are you serious? He was like, I'll bring my guitar. And I was like, no way. So I went up there and signed him into the open mic thing. And he ended up showing up, man. Everyone that I was with, like Eric Little was there, and like a few of our friends from the area, and they're like, dude, if he shows up, that's golden, man. I'm like, I swear he's going to show up. And they're like, well, I'll give it 5 more minutes. And then we went out to go smoke a bowl. And then here comes fucking Wino, man, with his fucking guitar. And I was just like, oh, I fucking knew it. So we get him set up in there, and we're hanging out and stuff. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to ask him. So I was like, hey, man, we're working on this album, and it would be an honor if you would do a song with us. Like, what do you think? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm down for sure. I was like, no way. I was like, okay, well, I'll hit up the guys, and we'll send you over, like, the music and stuff over to your producer. Do you have an email? And then we sent it over, and then it worked out. It was awesome, man. He's very down to earth and very awesome guy.
Now, when he's at an open mic, are other people like just in awe? Do they have any idea what's happening?
Well, that's the funny thing. About a third of them did. Like when I wrote in his name as because I would put him as the headliner, of course, as playing last because it wasn't real late. So, and they were like, this guy, he comes up and orders a beer, and he was like Wino, like Wino, and I was like, yeah, man, he's on his way over here. He's like, you got to be kidding me. So I know this. He hit up a few of his friends, and they were there hanging out. It was pretty cool. Not many people though. That's what made it pretty cool because there are people there that just didn't give a shit. You know, they're all there talking and yapping about some bullshit in their fucking whatever. But then Wino was just killing it, man. It was funny.
God, and it must be so humbling in a way. It's like this guy is, you know, in our circle, you know, kind of world renowned, and you know, when you get to someplace else, whether it's on a plane or at an open mic or whatever, people are like, I don't know, some guy with long hair.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, I'm sure he's in a band, but I know they didn't know what his history, you know, and he was from even their area, you know. It's crazy, but it was awesome because he was like, this was the first open mic I ever did. Right. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That is. It was a cool experience because it was fucking surreal, man. It was wild.
I love that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let's kick.
No doubt.
Do you mind if we kick off and start talking about some of the tracks?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's kick it off with Ghost Bell. We've got this haunting kind of opener, and you hear the chime of the bell. You know something's going to be happening on this record. What's the like? How did Ghost Bell come about, and what is it trying to convey?
Go ahead, Alex.
In the in the jam room, we Brad and Roman kept hearing this bell when we were.
Oh yeah.
I never heard it. Maybe that means I'm not as spiritually adept as they are, or something. But they kept hearing this bell, and so we came up with we're going to call this song Ghost Bell. The song is really just functions as an intro piece, but beautiful song. Starts off, you know, kind of haunting violin, and the guitar riff comes in over it, and then it just starts pounding, and it kind of sets the precedent for the album lyrically and musically.
Yeah, definitely.
And we had our really good friend Kristen Rad, formerly of Distances.
Yeah, she played the violin. Yeah.
Yep.
She's amazing.
So, and in looking in the basically like the bio for the album, we have an album about death and beyond. Was there something that happened? Because you know, we had the previous release of Devil in the Desert, and now we're getting a little darker. Was this just like a natural progression? Was there something in your life that kind of gave you that change?
I think Brad? Brad, yeah.
Or anybody.
Yeah, well, just life itself.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, nothing happened specifically in my personal life that particular year, but I mean, I've lost loved ones, and I've also been trying to go on a spiritual quest to try to understand what's after the physical world, and it's kind of the album about what is next and what are those questions. And I'll kind of turn that over to like Roman and Alex, because there's some things that happened I think that was pretty heavy that was going on, especially in Albuquerque with a lot of musicians.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like it was a wild time. Just these last few years, there's been a lot of friends and musicians that were friends that died in the music scene here in Albuquerque, and it just kind of hung a cloud over the scene. Not a real bad cloud, because like there was positive stuff that came out of it, but it was, you could see it in everyone's face, like
right.
There wasn't as many smiles as there was years past, and like and I just think growing older, we're at that age now, we are losing a lot of friends, that we do think about like death a lot, and and music, it really is emotional, and it makes you think about that stuff, especially songs make you think about friends from the past, or like times in your life. So I think now at our times in our life, it was the right album, I think, because like all of us, when we talked about the concept, we kind of like all agreed. We all had experiences and stories to put towards the album, and it came together like really fast and really good, because I think all of us were ready for it, because we all had talked about it, and really it formed.
Do you guys, Brad and Roman, do you think that with the addition of Alex, it gave you a little shot in the ass to like say,
oh yeah,
it almost, and not, believe me, I love Josh, no disrespect to him at all, he's an awesome fucking player, but to have fresh blood come into the band, it's gotta be something invigorating to where it's like, oh, we haven't touched on this, we haven't gone here.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's with Alex, energy level, the songwriting, the style, and I think the urgency to like, let's do something, all came at the right time.
Right. And
we, we're working with this record label, Desert Records, and the guy over there I hear is kind of a fucking prick.
Oh, I tell you, man, if I fight with that fucking guy once, it's like a million times.
Yeah.
He's a horrible human being.
And he doesn't even get my zip code right. It's weird.
And he's telling the band.
He's got a good beard. I'll give him that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's true. Yeah. That is true. But he's telling the band that they need to get a record done by February.
Right.
And so we had a lot of heat on us. And the only song that we had really that had been written was the song "The Paths of the Deathless," and it was one of those songs that, I mean, I couldn't quite fully convey the message in that one song, and It was like, can we expand on this theme?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like that one song didn't quite capture it, but that one song was sort of a linchpin, because Josh and Roman and I had been playing it. And then Alex hops on board. We throw that song at him immediately, like, hey, we're playing this on the first show with you. And you haven't heard it except for on a video or something.
Right.
It's not recorded. And, we quickly kind of started charting out ideas for like this overall arc of music and themes and landscapes that we want to try to travel through with the music. And we just had to go to work fast as hell. Alex would come over to my house after work, and we'd like play acoustic guitar or play with these tiny little shitty amps, and like throw riffs back at each other, and then record them on our like a phone, and then take them to Roman at practice and go, okay, how does this feel and how does this sound? And started to put that together as fast as possible.
Right.
So Alex had already written the music for Ghost Bell, and we just didn't have any lyrics. And then he also, him and Roman had fully written Swallowed by the Sea.
Right.
And then we had Path to the Deathless, and it started to go, ooh, we've got some traction.
Yeah.
And how can we, creatively find the right songs that are going to fit in with that? And when we were talking about, well, how fucking cool would it be to have Dave Sherman or Wino? And then Roman's like, well, I'll ask them. And yes, they're both on the record, and they fucking put in like 1,000% on these songs.
Holy shit!
Like,
yeah, I couldn't believe it, man.
And I think we all probably want to talk about the writing process, because do you know how exciting and fucking frightening?
Oh, and nerve-wracking too, I bet.
Oh my god!
And
Yes.
frightening it is to go. So we're writing the song for Wino.
Holy
And-
shit!
Right?
Yeah, that was unreal.
It was just like, this had better not fucking suck. You get one shot. You know?
Yeah, and I think I think everybody's going to be really pleased with this, and I want to go into the next track because, damn man, this just brings it, and it's the title track, Path to the Deathless, and we've got some dark, some heavy, fuzzy, and the one thing I like about this track, which I feel about a lot of these tracks, there's, if I can say, like, carefully selected notes. There's something there, and I love when I hear that, because some people, you hear stuff and it's noise for the sake of noise or whatever. But I like when there's something very succinct, and it really is way more emotional when you hear it.
Yeah, cool. I like that.
So what can you tell me about the title track?
Right.
I've had that riff for 12 years, Chris, and I wrote it in Bellingham, Washington when I was going to school, and I had recorded it on a computer, an old shitty computer.
Right.
And then I had found it, and I had just sort of kept it and was waiting for the right moment. And these guys have heard me tell the story, but it was like I didn't want to chop it up. I didn't want to steal that riff and put it into something else.
Right.
And I didn't have any lyrics, and I had brought it to Roman, and he really just brought the song to life on drums.
Sure.
And it was perfect, it was like, holy shit. It was way better than I could have imagined how he drummed over it. And it became this song that we started playing live. But in a nutshell, it's like the song's got three parts to it. And the first part is what had been written, and there was no lyrics. And then you got that kind of trippy middle part. Mm-hmm. And then you got just a fucking nasty, heavy riff with a solo. And then we come back to the chorus. And that takes us about 8 minutes.
Hey, and it's fine. If it takes that amount of time, it's Doom. I mean, shit. You can have a long song every once in a while. But sometimes that's exactly like what it takes. If you have something and you believe in this riff for like a dozen years, there's got to be a quality to it. There's got to be something there. And then on top of it, you ride it high, and like eventually you'll come down. It's just when.
Right.
And it might take 3 minutes, it might take 8 minutes.
So I really love the recorded version. We played all the rhythms, so the guitar and drums and bass.
Right.
Everything completely 100% live in the studio, just the three of us in a room looking at each other and going, I hope I don't fuck this up.
I hear you.
If we didn't nail it, we all try it again.
That's it, man.
We try to capture just as live Red Mesa as possible, And I think it came out great. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the song and proud of the guys.
That's what you should be. And as you're talking to this, Roman's kind of moving around. I feel like I'm in a recon mission. I
Roman, you make a lot of noise.
I feel
I
like
know. My phone's about to die. I'm sorry.
You know what, dude? We'll ride it out as long as you're here. We might do a little, and we might finish up with who knows. Let's go into the next track, Desert Moon, featuring Dave Sherman. What can you tell me?
Yes. So me and Dave, we go back. We go way back. Actually, as far back as me and Wino too. But I love Dave Sherman, man. Me and him, we had some cool times. He's such an awesome person, and it's just been a dream of mine to do a song with him, man. And one day, it was years ago, probably about like 3 years ago, like we were hanging out and we were jamming. I was like, man, I got to jam with you. And he was just like, oh, well, I got this band, Weed is Weed, and we're looking for a drummer. But I'm like, well, I live in New Mexico.
Right.
He's like, well, we can't do that. So eventually we were talking about our album. And I was like, dude, we got to ask Dave Sherman. I'm sure he's 100,000% in. And Dave Sherman was just on board, like, from the get-go. And he loves the desert. When we were out here, we shroomed out. And he was out here with Earth Ride and stuff. We went to Madrid, and, like, he loves the desert. We were just, like, talking about funny shit. And then, we just had to have him. So it worked out perfect that he wanted to do it. And the song is amazing. It's so fun to play live because that's probably one of the other songs that we played live. And I got to do vocals, so I was like fucking really stoked because Sherman's vocals are pretty badass.
Did you write it? Did you write it specifically for him, or did you have the song already and you're like, he'd be a good addition?
No, we wrote the Sherman and the Wino song to what, like, we're like, well, what would they want?
Right.
You know, so we added a little bit of our flavor and like their influences and just went at it. It was pretty cool.
You know, it's pretty crazy because over the past, I don't know, however many podcasts, I've asked this question a bunch of times about who do you want to do a collaboration with? And I don't feel like I see it enough in the genre. And this is a perfect example of why it works. And
cool.
I think it's just something awesome. Now, what can you tell me about Death I Am?
So that's an old song that me and our mutual friend Steve Schmidtlap, he was the first guy and guitar player that I started jamming with when I moved to Albuquerque to start a desert rock band.
Right.
And he actually was the one that put together all the different words that ended up being Red Mesa. So he actually named the band, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that's it."
Hell yeah.
And then he had just kind of like, you know, kind of was in other bands, and it didn't kind of work out. It was a long history, and we're like all great friends now.
Right.
And you know, Red Mesa started as a trio, and it was just me on guitar on the self-titled album. Anyway, so we recorded the song like 6 years ago on his computer, and he had sent it to me on to an email, and I found it a few years ago, and we're fucking thinking about all these songs on the track, and it's like, you know, we need one song that's like not heavy in the distortion realm, you know?
Right.
And I played that for Alex and Roman, and I was like, shit, I don't know what they're going to think of it, but we all love country music and like lap steel and kind of like just songs like that, you know, like kind of sparse, dark, sad songs. And I played it for them, and they were like, don't fucking change it, just use that version. We don't even need to be on it. I was like, well, no, you guys need to be on it. And we went back and forth, and in the end, we couldn't use the version that me and Steve had because we needed to re-record it for the record in a studio. And so we had Steve come in, and he played guitar. We had our friend Alex McMahon, who's on the Desert Records. He's with Growl Brothers, and he plays pedal steel, and he's like a fucking genius.
Yeah, and by the way, if people have not heard, that is a Desert Records release. They got 2 releases. You should go check them out. They are awesome for that experimental indie, like you're trailing through a mountain. I don't know what it is. I just know that I love it when I hear it. It's almost like sonic chill. I don't even know how to fucking describe it, but
it's really cool shit.
Nobody knows how to describe it.
I hear you, brother. You know what I'll say? I'll throw this because I could see it the same thing with you guys as well. And there was a band I interviewed before called Lord Buffalo. There's this, right on. There's this, it's this new piece that I'm seeing in the genre, this Americana folk that is coming in, and even with yourselves, you have the violin from Kristen, and in Lord Buffalo, the violin is a heavy part of their music. So I think maybe that's where I'm going. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I absolutely agree. And we like the organic sound and stuff, and the old instruments. Like, we just like that stuff. We loved it from country western music, and so we use that on there, and it's just vocals and lap steel and acoustic guitar,
right?
And it's really cool vibe, man, in between Sherm and Wino Song.
Yeah. It's like we've said. I think we might have even said it previous. It's that roller coaster. It ebbs and flows, and it creates a great album. So let's get in. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
No, it really puts a centerpiece on the album.
Yeah,
it really does.
All of the heavy distortion. The lap steel on it that Alex put on it, or the steel guitar rather, is just amazing. It's ethereal, it's atmospheric, it's sad, it's somber. It gives a lot of lift and life to that song. And the first time I showed that song to somebody,
right?
We were driving in the mountains, and she looked up from her phone. She's like, "Who is this?" I was like, this is us. It's not us, because it's just Brad and Steve on acoustic guitar.
Right.
But it's on the album. And she was just like, who is this? Like,
that's awesome.
Like, amazing,
Nice.
And not to like go down that road, but it really is a special track. And I'm glad that Brad had the forethought to use it on this album, because it really fits in, just a really cool centerpiece.
Now, is Death I Am the end of side 1, beginning of side 2?
The end.
It's a perfect spot. Period.
Exactly.
So we'll get into side 2. And first off, how awesome is it that we could talk that there's actual side 1s and side 2s? Like,
yes, I love it.
The resurgence of vinyl has been so awesome. I got to admit, I didn't understand it for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, whether it was Dustin from now Black Magic Flower Power, or In the Company of Serpents, they had some great releases.
Oh, Grant! Oh, I love Grant.
And they were explaining to me and I'm like, all right, let me try it. And now it's like I got a stack over here that I have to, take pictures of and stuff and put it online. I'm constantly buying stuff, and one of them that we'll get into, Women of Doom, we got to talk about that release, because that is incredible. But let's go on to side 2 with Disharmonious on Life, featuring Wino.
Hell fucking yes. I love this song, man. Can't stop listening to this one, man. This one is Swallowed by the Sea. But this one, it was crazy because, we wrote the song during our demoing, because we're going to send our demos to Sherman and Wino. So we had the Sherman song written down, locked and loaded. We're like, fuck yeah, we got this. So we're like, okay, the Wino song, because the Wino song was so many different parts, and it was how long was it? 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's almost 9 minutes.
Yeah, so we actually had the bass, the skeleton of it when we entered the demoing part. Not the studio, but Mike Day and Renee. So we wrote that song in the demoing process of the studio. But it came together real well because it was cool to jam in a different spot, and it was cool that we were actually sharing the news to someone, because it was kept so secret. It still was secret, but not really, but still kind of. But But it was like so cool because Mike Day, our friend, I know he knows Wino. He knows all that shit. So it was really cool, and it was a really cool vibe, and the song came together real well. It was awesome.
When we wrote the music for it, Brad had a lot of the riffs that I remember him showing me in his office, probably where he's sitting right now. And
that's it.
On the toilet.
We put the song together like as a thing so that we could show it to Roman. And the song as it stands on the album is a complete anomaly because there's no verse, there's no chorus, there's no repeating refrains of vocally at all or lyrically. So it's really an odd song in that respect. The way that we wrote it, we're like, yeah, this is the verse, this is the chorus, and if we would have had to sing over it, it would have been 100%.
Because all of us had our own little versions. All of us were writing lyrics.
When we got that song back from Wino,
right,
the day of,
was like that was the second high point of my year, I think. Maybe the first. It's close.
But we got it back the day
been a weird year,
that we needed
but
it.
the first time that the three of us got to listen to that song, imagining like, okay, how did we ever get Wino to sing over our little riffs?
Right.
You know, and the things, what he did with it lyrically, and he put 4 solos on the song.
Yeah, he put an Ebo solo.
The song is just a complete anomaly, and I hope that people will appreciate it for what it is.
It's something.
I listen to that song damn near every day.
The lyrics are just unreal. The lyrics are crazy, man.
I'm glad that we got the song last after we recorded the record because we probably wouldn't have recorded a record if we. No way. We're like, oh shit.
How do we top this?
Wino
how do we top
just
that?
Just showed a fucking master class in how to sing over something that's kind of weird,
right?
And how to fucking do guitar solos, and we're just like, oh, that's how you do it. And so,
there you go.
I'm so glad we got it last, and we got it on the last day, like the last day that we had to send out for mastering. We fucking got it. Like, holy shit! And then boom, gone.
And this is your Doom Masterclass. Go ahead.
Oh no. Well, like one of our things that we're like we wanted to make a really good album, but like we like set a goal. I was just like, oh, this has to be a top 20 album of 2020. And like this was the year, man. It was just had to be it. And then this crazy shit had happened, and we had so much momentum. Well, we still got momentum, but just this pandemic has just been crazy. It's just like surreal.
It's changed a lot of things, and it's going to stay that way for a bit. It's unfortunate, and we're doing what we can. That's why, look, dude, like I said, I'd rather be face to face with you having a mic in your face than this, but this is what we got. So, cheers to it, man.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah, thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. What can you tell me about Revelation?
Ooh,
go ahead, Alex.
This song.
This was a fun one.
Yeah, it's a fun song. This song was strictly written in the jam room, and also strictly under the influence of George Dickel Tabasco whiskey. Woo!
Yes, Dickel.
Hold on, now Dickel. I know
we were having a productive practice, and we wanted to. We were just like we might need a fast song.
All right.
We might need a fast song. We need a song with like some different energy. And what would it sound like if Queens of the Stone Age was playing a Motorhead song? Like that. So it's got some kind of, it's a funner song. It's a faster pace. It's shorter.
Right.
And then Brad had these cool lyrics that the lyrics inherently
are so sick.
Would have fit over some much darker piece of music.
Sure.
But they fit into it. We kind of talked about the lyrics over drives back and forth to Taos playing shows, and then we came up with that. And it's the shortest song, and we're gonna keep playing it live because it's a blast.
See, it's our filler song. It's our good filler song.
It's filler, but we Alex, you touched on something very important. and that is something that I have yet to see that I'm looking at right now. It's the George Deckel Tabasco. That dude, I haven't heard of this. Like, all right, so first off, we got to get to the basics. Obviously, is it fire in, fire out with this, or?
Ooh,
No.
yeah.
All right. Now
It depends how many chimichangas you eat after.
It was all goodness. It was all goodness both ways for me. It's fine.
Now, okay, so is this a straight drink, or are we mixing it with something?
No,
Fuck
right out of
no.
the bottle, man.
Straight from the bottle.
Sure.
Straight from the bottle. Yeah, it's
That bottle didn't even see what's coming.
It was this weird thing. Like I was in this in the liquor store Quarters, which is the closest liquor store to our jam space.
Right.
I was looking for. I was like, "Hey, you guys, let's do some whiskey tonight. I'll go get something." And I was looking around, and they had this big, neon colored sign cut out in like a star.
Right.
It was $9.99 George Dickel Tabasco whiskey, and I was like, "Fucking in!"
Oh yeah.
And brought that back, and we started hitting it. And then we had our friend Scotty Moss, who's just a dear friend of ours.
Fuck yeah, Scotty.
All of our shows. Big shout out to Scotty. And he saw us drinking it that night, and the next band practice, he fucking had bought a bottle of George Dickel Tabasco whiskey.
That's nice.
So, there you go, practice number 2. And then somewhere down the road, I stopped in that liquor store again, and it was still on fucking sale, so bought another bottle.
Why not?
And after that, Chris, we had that song written.
I'm looking as I'm looking at the bottle and thinking of Red Mesa. I see cross promotion here. There's got to be maybe a T-shirt.
We completely agree, Chris.
Well, I mean, Alex, you look at it. It's got Little George up there, and then Big Deckel. So you could put red on top, Mesa on the bottom. That could be the logo. Fucking A, man.
It's already got the old Western writing and everything.
It's perfect.
Seems like it's only an email away. Let's do it.
No, you know what? No joke, Alex. After this, I'll be writing them. I'll ask them. Why not? What the fuck?
Yeah.
What can you lose?
If you want to be our with that, we're totally cool with that, man.
Hey, anytime we can help somebody, and not like I know anybody, but hey, it'd be pretty cool. Now we were discussing Swallowed by the Sea. Did you have anything else to add to it? Anything else you want to talk about for that track?
Yeah,
Alex, yes.
Yeah. Again, it was based on an experience that Roman and I had. It ended up serving as a really nice way to end the album lyrically.
Right.
Because as Ghost Bell set the precedent for the theme of the album, and then the Path to the Deathless really threw it out there, I think we came to the agreement that maybe we don't die. Maybe we're immortal. Maybe there is a beginning, but there's maybe not an end. Maybe this is just like a chapter in our existence.
Right.
And death doesn't have to be feared necessarily. It doesn't have to be a dark thing. There's several cultures around the world that celebrate it as a very positive thing. Anybody that is from New Orleans knows about Second Line, and the predominant African culture down there celebrates funerals. It's not the mournful dirge and the tears. It's a parade through town.
A celebration of life.
Yeah.
They just went to the next party.
It doesn't have to be something negative. And through the course of the album, we kind of touched on, just making yourself ready, trying to be a better person. And especially the lyrics in Revelation, it touches on just basically not being a useless person, like trying to have some thought behind your existence.
And reflecting.
Yeah. I mean, why are we alive? Why do we live? Why do we die? We don't know the answers to it. But it very could well be that our existence here and our life on this plane is, a temporal thing, and it could be like the first of many chapters. We just don't know. But Swallowed by the Sea, Brad had it, I believe, in his mind, and he could touch on this more. But visually, thematically, regarding the track and the placement on the album. We're coming down a mountain. We're going through a desert, and then we're ending up on the shoreline. And, it just kind of puts to music the thought of being ready to pass and walking out into the water and just surrendering yourself to whatever may be next. And the song just came out beautiful. There's, again, Alex McMahon is on there with his pedal steel. Kristen put some just beautiful violin parts on there. And then just the riffs as they stand, really just make an impactful song. We all really love it. And then Brad came up with the ending riff, which is just like this heavier variation on what we were doing. And then we have there's some growling on a Red Mesa album.
Yeah. What was the coolest thing?
Like super heavy.
Yeah. What was the coolest thing about the album is we started the album with all three of us on vocals, and we ended it all on three vocals, because on Ghost Spell, that's all of us, because you hear me and Alex on the backing, like yells and the growls and stuff. You hear Brad on the front, but that's all three of us on those vocals. And then at the end of the album, that's all three of us on the vocals. So it's cool. Start the album, all three of us, and the end of it.
A nice opening and a close. Well, you know what, gents? Thank you for discussing this brand new release. Now, as I'm looking online, I'm looking at Bandcamp, and I see that you've got some bundles and etc. So do you have all the is all the vinyl in right now? Or are you still waiting on the color variants, or?
It's selling the 7 Seas.
It's on a ship.
It's on a ship.
Yes. I'm very familiar with that story. I've heard that a couple of times,
Coming from Europe, and it's going to New York. And we're not sure, exactly the longitude and latitude of the location of the ship at the moment.
I got to tell you, there's some of the slowest ships I have ever seen in my life.
Yes.
I don't understand it, but it is what it is. But
it's a slow boat.
So you're going with a red and yellow splatter, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And also traditional black. And as I'm looking, right now, where are we at? We're at what day? It's Thursday, right? Geez, from being home, I lose all track of time.
April 30th, last day of April. Wow.
Okay, so this brings up to an interesting point. I don't think I'm going to get it out in time, because tomorrow is May 1st, but I should put something up on social media. May 1st, Bandcamp is going to give the artists the bulk sum of the cash. They're not taking anything. And as I'm looking right now, the red, yellow splatter vinyl LP with T-shirt, you've got 5 left. So this will be a perfect time to grab them before they sell out. And there's 4 of the classic black vinyl. And that's it. I mean, holy shit, guys. You think you might have to repress?
Well, we've been thinking about that.
I don't know. A lot of the black got taken by distribution through Desert Record. And so we've got most of the splatter kind of going out direct to the fans. So we've got a lot of those. But we sent a couple hundred copies to UK and Europe for black, and we've got a bunch going to Canada and the United States, and we'll see how it goes. We've got a bunch of splatter left, and it should be good.
All right, so I'll put that up, and like I said, I don't think, because I have a few episodes before you. But at least we'll put something up that we talked, and that way people know that an interview's coming. I wanted to talk a little bit about Desert Records with this Women of Doom project. How'd you get that started, and how much energy did it take to come around?
That, oh man, I don't know. It was it's been 2 years in the making, Chris. Mm-hmm. I had the idea a couple winters ago, and it's an ambitious project in so many ways, because it's really easy to fuck something like that up.
Sure.
And some people think that I did, just simply because it has women in the title, and that I'm a male, and Blues Funeral, the record label owner over there, is also a male. And I don't mind having this conversation because I strive to try to be as straightforward as possible and open about these conversations. But pulling something that together was getting a hold of the artist primarily and getting a thumbs up from artists saying, yeah, this sounds like a really great thing to be involved in.
Sure.
Let's go forward. If the artists, the women and the musicians and the artists and everything, if they're on board with that and get their thumbs up on that, then I feel like we have some legs underneath it. So some of the things to think about in a project like that is how do you not make it babes of heavy metal?
Right.
Which I don't want to do that. I just wanted to simply showcase the achievements and celebrate the heaviness that women bring to genres like heavy metal and doom. And put together a record that maybe allowed them, if they wanted to do a solo album, a solo song, meaning that they were just doing it on their own and not with their band. And a lot of the artists really chose to go that route because they wanted an avenue to be able to express themselves in possibly a different way than their bands that they're in. Absolutely. And so we had to get a lot of clearance from record labels, get everybody on board. Start getting everyone to record in different parts of the country and in Europe, and it was really, really the hardest thing I've ever done with Desert Records in terms of a single release. And then it was a matter of making sure that the only people who led and fueled this thing was women. So the artists who wrote everything were women. The people who recorded it were women. Who did the artwork were women. Who did the lacquers for the vinyl. Who pressed the vinyl. Who mastered the album. Who was a sales team that we worked with for vinyl pressing. Who was a vinyl pressing plant. Who did the reviews first. Who wrote the essay in the vinyl and in the liner notes.
Right.
It was all 100% women and Blues Funeral and Desert Records just simply put it out.
And are you now from what I'm trying to gather here? Did you get some backlash from this?
Yeah, I did a little bit, and that was for me. Everything I've ever put out on the label or like with Red Mesa has either been met with a few people who like it or general indifference.
Really? And what's the disconnect to that? That doesn't make sense to me.
It's just that a lot of people felt that it should have been released by women as well.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Maybe if there is there that brings up a question. Are there any female-owned record distribution companies?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either, but maybe if there was, maybe that'll be a direction for Women of Doom too. Fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean the distribution companies that I work with and that I don't know who owns them.
Right.
That's a great question. But to talk about that is also to talk about the music and the songs and what the artist did and the reception that we've received has been an outpour of love and support. And it's the artists, man. Like it's a beautiful album, and putting together all those tracks in the right way was a challenge to make sure that it was musically made sense. And the songs are beautiful.
It's an amazing
artwork
album.
is beautiful. It's emotionally heavy, but also like heavy too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so proud of everybody. And I don't know, Chris. It's just really, really something that I'm glad that it's out there, and I'm really proud of everybody that worked on it. And I just wish the best of luck to all the women. I hope they get in their bands. I hope they get more fans. I hope more people go to their shows. I hope more people buy their albums. We have Heavy Temple on there. Mm-hmm. We have Amy from Year of the Cobra.
Yep.
There's Bespel Jarsson from Sweden.
Thank you for pronouncing that, by the way.
I think I just said it wrong. Bespar Jelsen.
Bless you. I don't really know how to pronounce, but I can only imagine. But go ahead.
There's Frail from Cleveland.
Yes.
There is the Autolith, who is 4/5 Sabrosa.
Sabrosa, yeah.
And Mel.
That is Kim and Sarah from Sabrosa,
right.
The violin players and singers. And
you've got Melanie from Royal Thunder.
Yeah.
Melanie from Royal Thunder does 2 tracks. They're gorgeous and beautiful and really emotionally heavy and powerful.
Emotionally heavy, man.
And you've got Alexis from Doomstress.
Doomstress Alexis, and Joe Bird is playing violin on that one. She's a great violinist.
Right.
And then Death Bell from France. Lauren is the singer, and she's from Ireland. Mm-hmm. And then Rebecca Vernon, the singer and guitarist from Sub Rosa, ironically, plays the piano.
Yeah, no vocals.
Ding, ding. It's perfect. And I got to tell you, it looks gorgeous. The whole thing, I just thought it was a very ambitious project, and I wanted to get your take on it because I haven't seen anything like this. And there's a lot of other things that are going on in current society. This person gets called for this and this gets called for this. And I don't know. To me, this looks empowering. It's just straight up empowering. So, cool. Haters going to hate, and that's on them. You put out your project, and a great product it was. And I was more than happy to contribute to it because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I want to thank you for that. Chris was a super backer for the Kickstarter, which was how we initially helped to fund this thing because it was there was a lot of people involved, and Chris he backed that. Which when you backed it, it also your backing helped us hit our goal.
Cool.
I know. I felt really like I think I went like it was like $2 over, and I was just like, I can't believe like I could pay this amount and you're fucking done. Like you got it. So I was so thrilled to send you that email, and then to see, I was even more thrilled to see where it went, how much money was raised for this project. Unbelievable, and you should be commended, sir, for what you did for it. I can't say enough about it. Now that we have talked about that, let's talk about who's coming up. What's the next phase for Desert Records? So
you had mentioned Lord Buffalo. I've got a really special project that's going to come out. It's going to be called The Legends of the Desert, and Roman inspired that title.
Right on, brother.
No, all of us did.
So
it was a joint.
Now, if we could see that, yes, exactly. So when are you getting that together? Do you have a date for that yet?
Well, we're going to say summer because now things are so kind of screwy, with timelines and pressing and all that stuff and manufacturing plants. So summer, hopefully late July, early August. Legends of the Desert is going to be a 7-album series. It will be a split series over the course of 3 years, and the first is Pale Horse, Pale Rider. Mm-hmm. That's a Pale Horse / Pale Rider. That's one band from Denver, and they're fucking badass.
They're amazing. They're badass.
And the other band is Lord Buffalo.
Fantastic. Perfect.
And we're going for like the dark, weird, heavy, psychedelic desert vibes, man. Like I want to create an album series that is a soundtrack for like the desert, even if you can't be there.
Mm-hmm. And I got
West Coast.
Yeah, and I got to admit, I didn't quite get it the idea of the desert until I moved to it. I just, I was like a beach guy being on the East Coast, and I don't have beaches here, but I got a lot of desert. And there is something about it. There's something about the connection of the Sonoran Desert. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I know it's there.
Yeah. And
also, just want to give a shout out for Desert Records for what else has been going on. So it doesn't matter. Women of Doom Project, When the Deadbolt Breaks, Nebula Drag, Grawl, The Horn God, even Land of Estrangement, which I'm hoping is going to be a Volume 3.
Yeah.
And one of the beautiful parts about it is, like, I've interviewed most of the bands that are on Desert Records, and they're all fantastic, man. Just killer fucking people. The brothers in Nebula Drag, geez, man, we might have beaten how late that went. If you talked to any of the guys, we were going for quite a bit, and there was, well, I think it had something to do with a certain type of brandy. Eagle Claw was with them.
Ooh, that would have been awesome.
And they had this Eagle Claw brandy. I'm not sure what was in it, but it got people really
There's brandy in it.
Really polluted. So, will there be a Land of Estrangement 3?
Yeah, that's the plan. After we kind of get through the vinyl releases, and hopefully things kind of settle down a little bit, and bands can do stuff and get together. I'm going to reach out to the New Mexico bands, and Alex and Roman are really helpful with helping me find bands that I didn't know about in New Mexico.
Right.
And we'll do a Land of Estrangement 3 probably end of the year 2020.
And it's a run. It's a gambit run. There's so many different styles on that.
Yeah. There was no way in Albuquerque or Santa Fe, the two biggest towns that produce music, there was no way to do this compilation that was going to be strictly like within a certain genre. It was impossible because there's only a few like Stoner Desert Doom psych bands in Albuquerque. I think there's like fucking 4.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
And so
Roman plays drums for all of them.
Roman's in all those bands.
Right on. And speaking of Roman, so Monolith on the Mesa, what's going on, dude? What do we got for? Is there going to be a date this year, or are you going to push it?
Yes. No. We actually postponed it to September, late September.
All right.
So as far right now, we have it September 25th, 26th, 27th. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in September.
25, 26, and 27. I want to make sure I got that because.
Yeah, make sure those dates are right. I can't look on my phone right now.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm going from purely selfish reason. I just want to go. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna be there. I got you, man.
We'll talk off.
Definitely. No, we'll definitely talk off. We have it rescheduled. About like majority of the bands are like everyone's a go pretty much, and I just hope all this subsides and everyone's back healthy. I mean, we're going to probably have a lot of restrictions. We're going to have a bunch of hand sanitizing stations. Like everyone's going to have masks, gloves, like whatever happens. I just hope they allow concerts again this year.
I know.
It's a feeling that they might not, but I've hoped that they might.
So at this point, Alex's connection dropped out, and he had a really interesting looking face. And we talk about that, and we finish out the interview right now with the rest of the guys in Red Mesa.
But he's not there.
He's there.
All right. Well, if
he took some really good drugs.
Something. He's just like he just looks so pimp. He looks like he's in a some kind of, I don't know.
He does. He looks like a model. So for those that can't see what we're seeing, he's frozen on screen, and he has sunglasses on, and it's a side profile, and it's like Ray-Bans of Albuquerque commercial.
Yes, there he is. He's the model. Okay, I got an answer.
All right, go ahead.
Bury me in smoke, guaranteed. I
Bury-
was thinking Pantera because we used to run out in Pantera when we played football,
Right.
jock style.
Sure.
But I could say, down, bury me in smoke. Man, that riff just gets me every time.
And
That's why when jazz band plays that, man, I get all started. Yeah. So,
and I don't know if it cut off or not. The question was a song you cranked up in your car when you graduated high school, and Brad's was Tool, Opiate, and then we got Bury Me in Smoke by Down. Very good.
Yes.
Good choices. And finally, just give me like a few bands. What are you listening to right now?
Ooh, some Acid Mammoth.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I love that. Oh man, I just wish they just remind me of a better Ghost. Just a better style of what Ghost was trying to do. I love Acid Mammoth. Another band, Weed Demon.
Yeah,
from Ohio.
Heavy,
holy shit,
dirty vocal on that. Man.
Love them. Amazing guys too. They're good guys. I love that album. It's good. It's good vocals.
Brad, what do you listen to?
Yeah, I've been listening to Book of Worms, and I just signed them to Desert Records.
Nice.
They're fucking awesome.
I was waiting for you to
Book of
say
Worms
that.
Good.
Fucking A, man. Thank you. With 1 minute to go, he brings it out. I love it. All right, guys, do you have a question for me to ask the next band?
Yeah, so it's a father-son duo, correct?
Oh, that was who asked you the question. Now it's going to be Deserts of Mars, based out of Austin, Texas.
Ooh, cool. I've heard of them. Cool.
Yeah, what's I guess my question would be, what is their writing process?
Okay.
Do people bring stuff from home, or do they all just figure it out in the jam space? What's going on?
Okay.
And my question is, have they been practicing together, or have they been doing a Zoom thing or a Skype thing, or have they been sending each other files? Or because I know a lot of people have time to do stuff. And I've been wondering how many people have been writing music. And the thing is, I've been talking to people that are in bands but been doing solo stuff. So I'm excited to see what solo stuff comes out of all this.
Totally, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Much love, Chris.
I'm going to head out. And, hey, can we contact you back, maybe do a top 5 sometime?
Yep.
Yes.
Right on. doomtombpodcast.com. If you're looking to hear some of the old episodes, go back and take a look. The ones on Spotify, I'm going to put on. They're not going to have music. It's not allowed on Spotify, which is fine. I get it. So that's why I've taken the music off of the podcast for now. Maybe it'll change later. I really don't know. doomtombpodcast@gmail.com. That's how to reach us, of course. And thanks, everybody, for your continued support. We're going to throw out a bunch of other episodes this week. I guess that's about it. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. And don't forget to stay heavy.
Well, there's a quote that Dio told to Dave Mustaine one time, and it was, we can jerk each other off all day, or we can smoke this joint.